Your greatest enemy is not laziness, it is appetite. You have trained your mind to crave comfort, distraction, validation, and easy pleasure. Every time life becomes silent, you reach for noise. Every time progress becomes painful, you search for escape. Every time discipline demands sacrifice, you negotiate with weakness. And weakness always offers convincing arguments. It tells you to rest today, start tomorrow, and believe that you have already done enough. But tomorrow becomes next week. Rest becomes stagnation, and enough becomes the graveyard where your potential is buried. Machiavelli understood that the man who cannot govern himself will always be governed by someone else. He will be ruled by his emotions, his temptations, public opinion, and people who know exactly which desire to exploit. A predictable man is a controllable man. When people know you need attention, they control you with silence. When they know you fear loneliness, they control you with abandonment. When they know you crave approval, they control you with criticism. That ends now. You must train your mind to desire what weaker men avoid. You must crave discipline when comfort calls, solitude when the crowd becomes intoxicating, progress when excuses feel reasonable, and purpose when pleasure tries to make you forget who you are. At first, discipline will feel like punishment. Solitude will feel empty. Progress will feel painfully slow. Purpose will feel heavier than distraction. Continue anyway. The mind adapts to what you repeatedly demand from it. Wake up when you said you would. Complete the task after motivation disappears. Sit alone without needing entertainment. Keep promises no one else knows you made. These moments may appear insignificant, but they are not. Every private victory is teaching your nervous system a new identity. You are proving that discomfort is not danger, silence is not rejection, effort is not suffering, and delayed gratification is not deprivation. It is power accumulating in darkness. Soon, you will stop craving the life that keeps ordinary men weak. You will begin craving the pressure that sharpens you. Comment, I crave what makes me stronger. Because once your mind begins to hunger for discipline, solitude, progress, and purpose, the world loses its easiest methods of controlling you. And that is the first step toward becoming untouchable. Number 1. Make discipline feel like power. Discipline becomes permanent only when you stop treating it like a punishment and begin treating it like proof. Every difficult action is evidence that you are no longer controlled by mood. The weak man asks himself how he feels before he moves. The dangerous man decides what must be done, then forces his feelings to follow. That is the difference between a life directed by impulse and a life directed by command. Your mind has been trained to associate comfort with safety, but comfort repeated too long becomes decay. It softens your instincts, lowers your standards, and teaches you to escape at the first sign of resistance. You must reverse that conditioning. When the alarm rings, rise before negotiation begins. When your body complains, continue until your decision becomes louder than discomfort. When distraction appears, reject it immediately. Do not debate with temptation. Delay gives weakness room to speak. Machiavelli understood that control belongs to the one who acts before chaos can organize itself. Apply that principle inward. Strike your excuses before they gather strength. Remove the apps, habits, people, and environments that make surrender convenient. Build a life where discipline is easier to obey than weakness is to hide. Keep your room ordered. Keep your promises visible. Keep your goals close enough to confront you daily. You are not trying to become motivated. Motivation is emotional weather. It changes without warning. You are building obedience to your own command. At first, this will feel unnatural because your old identity will resist its replacement. It will remind you of every failure. It will whisper that you always quit. Let it whisper, then continue. Every repeated act of discipline becomes a vote for the man you are becoming. Eventually, your mind will begin to crave the clean satisfaction of completion. You will feel restless when you waste time. You will become uncomfortable with excuses. You will prefer earned exhaustion over empty pleasure. That is when discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Comment, my word is my command. Say it like a contract, not a slogan. A man who obeys his own standards cannot be easily manipulated, distracted, or broken. He becomes difficult to tempt because he has already chosen what matters. And once discipline becomes your source of pride, comfort loses its throne. He needs no permission to rise, no audience to work, and no applause. Number 2, learn to need solitude. Solitude is not emptiness. It is a battlefield where weak identities die. Most men fear being alone because silence exposes everything they have been avoiding. Without noise, there is no crowd to impress, no distraction to hide behind, and no easy way to escape the truth. You begin to hear your own excuses clearly. You see how much time you have wasted. You recognize which relationships drain you, which habits weaken you, and which ambitions you abandoned for temporary comfort. Do not run from that discomfort, use it. Machiavelli understood that the man who constantly reveals himself gives others the map to control him. Solitude teaches you to close the gates. It removes you from unnecessary influence and gives your mind room to become sharp again. When you spend time alone with purpose, you stop borrowing opinions from the crowd. You begin choosing your own standards, protecting your energy, and thinking beyond the emotions of the moment. But solitude must not become isolation without direction. Do not sit alone merely to disappear. Train, study, plan, create, and rebuild. Turn your private hours into a workshop where a stronger identity is constructed. Let others mistake your absence for weakness while you are quietly eliminating every weakness they once recognized. The crowd rewards performance. Solitude rewards transformation. At first, silence may feel heavy. Soon it will feel clean. You will no longer need constant messages, approval, or attention to feel important. Your purpose will become louder than loneliness. Your progress will become better company than shallow conversation. Comment: silence is building me. When you learn to stand alone without becoming bitter, desperate, or distracted, you become dangerous. A man who does not fear solitude cannot be controlled by exclusion. He can walk away, disappear, improve, and return without asking anyone for permission. Number 3, become addicted to progress. Progress is the most honest form of confidence because it cannot be faked. You may speak boldly, dress sharply, and convince others that you are becoming powerful, but your private results reveal the truth. Either you are moving forward or you are decorating stagnation. Most men become addicted to the appearance of improvement. They collect plans, watch motivational videos, announce goals, and mistake emotional excitement for transformation. But progress does not care what you intended to do. It only measures what you completed. You must become obsessed with evidence. One more page studied, one more hour protected, one more weakness confronted, one more promise kept when nobody was watching. Stop waiting for dramatic breakthroughs. Real power is built through quiet accumulation. A fortress is not raised with one stone, and a disciplined mind is not created by one productive day. It is formed when small victories become too consistent to deny. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to those who prepare before opportunity appears. The unprepared man calls success luck because he never saw the years of invisible construction behind it. Your task is to build in silence until the result speaks so loudly that explanation becomes unnecessary. Do not tell everyone what you are planning. Let your routine become secret strategy. Let your improvement become the surprise. Measure yourself against yesterday, but do not become gentle with yourself. Improvement should encourage you, not sedate you. The moment you become proud too early, comfort returns wearing the mask of success. Stay hungry. Celebrate briefly, then raise the standard. What once required discipline must eventually become normal. What once exhausted you must become your warm-up. There will be days when progress feels invisible. You will work, sacrifice, and still feel unchanged. Continue. Roots grow before branches appear. The weak abandon the process because they cannot tolerate delayed proof. The powerful understand that unseen growth is still growth. They keep moving while others lose faith. Comment: my progress is inevitable. Say it only if your actions are prepared to defend it. Progress is not a mood, it is a direction chosen repeatedly. Protect it from people who mock your ambition, from habits that steal your focus, and from emotions that demand immediate reward. Every day you move forward, you become harder to recognize and harder to control. Do not confuse speed with progress. Moving quickly in the wrong direction only carries you farther from yourself. Slow, deliberate advancement is more powerful than frantic activity. Choose the few actions that change everything. Repeat them relentlessly and remove whatever does not serve the mission you have chosen. Eventually, you will stop asking whether you feel motivated. You will ask only one question: what can be improved today? That question will sharpen your body, your mind, your work, and your future. When progress becomes your addiction, stagnation becomes unbearable. You will no longer fear hard days. You will fear wasted ones. And that fear, properly controlled, will keep you moving long after weaker men have stopped. Number 4, turn purpose into your command. Purpose is not something you find. Purpose is something you choose, protect, and obey until your existence carries weight. Most men drift because they have never decided what deserves their sacrifice. They wake without direction, react to whatever appears, and call survival a life. Their days are controlled by moods, obligations, and others' priorities. They are busy, but they are not advancing. They are moving, but they are not becoming. A man without purpose can be distracted by anything because nothing inside him is powerful enough to say no. You must build a reason that is stronger than pleasure, stronger than fear, stronger than loneliness, stronger than the temptation to quit when no one notices your effort. Your purpose need not impress the crowd. It must command you in private. It must pull you out of bed when comfort feels persuasive. It must keep your hands steady when progress is slow. It must remind you that temporary pain is cheaper than permanent regret. Machiavelli understood that power becomes stable only when it is organized around a clear objective. A ruler who reacts to every rumor, insult, and crisis loses control of the kingdom. The same is true of your mind. Every distraction is a rebellion. Every uncontrolled emotion is a rival demanding the throne. Every weak habit opens the gates from within. Purpose gives you the authority to decide what stays and what must be removed. It becomes the law by which every choice is judged. Ask yourself one ruthless question: does this strengthen the mission or weaken it? The people around you, the content you consume, the hours you waste, the promises you break, and the excuses you repeat must face that question. Stop protecting habits that are destroying your future. Stop remaining loyal to environments that reward weakness. Stop confusing familiarity with destiny. You are not required to carry every version of yourself into the next chapter. Purpose demands elimination. You cannot become focused while worshipping every opportunity. You cannot become disciplined while keeping every temptation within reach. You cannot become powerful while giving your energy to people who disrespect your direction. Every serious mission has a price, and that price is often the life you were comfortable living. Pay it willingly. Comfort will beg you to remain ordinary, but purpose will show you what your suffering can purchase. There will be moments when your purpose feels distant. You will question whether the sacrifice is worth it. You will look at others enjoying easy lives and wonder why you chose the harder road. Remember this: ease is not always peace, and struggle is not always suffering. Sometimes struggle is evidence that you are living in alignment with what matters. The pain of discipline passes. The pain of betraying your potential follows you everywhere. Comment: my purpose commands my life. Do not write it as decoration. Write it as a declaration of ownership. From this moment forward, your attention is no longer public property. Your time is no longer available to every demand. Your energy is no longer a charity for people who refuse to build themselves. You will become selective, deliberate, and difficult to distract. Some will call you distant, others will call you obsessed. Let them speak. People without direction often feel threatened by someone who has chosen one. Purpose will not remove fear, but it will make fear irrelevant. It will not remove exhaustion, but it will teach you why continuing matters. It will not guarantee victory, but it will ensure that even your failures shape you into someone stronger. A man with purpose can lose a battle without losing himself. He can be rejected without becoming desperate. He can be delayed without becoming defeated. His identity is anchored deeper than circumstance. When purpose becomes your command, decisions become cleaner. You stop asking what feels good and start asking what serves the future. You stop chasing approval and start building proof. You stop explaining your path to people who were never meant to walk it. Your life begins to narrow, but your power begins to grow. The noise fades, the mission sharpens, and the man you were becomes too small for the future you have chosen. Number 5. Teach your mind to love resistance. Resistance is not the enemy of your progress. Resistance is the gatekeeper standing between the weak version of you and the man you keep claiming you want to become. Every time you feel pressure, boredom, doubt, fatigue, or fear, you are not being told to stop. You are being tested to see which identity is stronger. The old one wants relief. The new one wants results. The old one demands comfort now. The new one understands that comfort purchased too early becomes regret later. This is the conflict you must learn to enjoy. Most men treat resistance as proof that something is wrong. They assume that difficulty means the path is not meant for them. They turn back the moment discipline becomes inconvenient. Then they wonder why their lives never change. They want strength without strain, confidence without evidence, and control without sacrifice. But power does not answer to desire. It answers to repetition under pressure. The man who continues when the task becomes unpleasant develops something motivation can never provide: command over himself. Machiavelli understood that fortune does not respect the passive. Circumstances change, allies become unreliable, plans collapse, enemies move unexpectedly. The man who depends on perfect conditions is already defeated because the world will never remain stable long enough to protect his comfort. You must become the kind of man who grows sharper when conditions become hostile. Let uncertainty improve your awareness. Let pressure expose your weaknesses. Let disappointment teach you where your expectations made you vulnerable. Do not ask life to become easier. Ask yourself to become more difficult to break. The first request places your power outside you. The second places it back into your hands. When you complain about the weight, you confess that the weight controls you. When you train beneath it, you turn the same burden into evidence of your expansion. Pain can either become a prison or a forge. Your interpretation decides which one. The mind learns through association. If you always escape discomfort, your mind begins to treat discomfort like danger. It sends panic whenever work becomes demanding. It makes boredom feel unbearable. It convinces you that fatigue is an emergency and doubt is a prophecy. But if you remain present, breathe steadily, and continue working, the mind begins to learn a different lesson. It learns that discomfort can be survived. Eventually, resistance no longer frightens you. It signals that meaningful work has begun. Train this response deliberately. When you want to stop, continue for another 10 minutes. When you want to check your phone, finish the task first. When you feel the urge to explain yourself, remain silent until emotion loses control of your tongue. When someone doubts you, do not argue. Convert the insult into output. Let resistance become a command to focus harder, move cleaner, and reveal less. Weak men react. Strategic men redirect. There will be resistance from within, but there will also be resistance from people around you. The moment you begin changing, those who benefited from your weakness may become uncomfortable. Your discipline will expose their excuses. Your solitude will make their approval less valuable. Your progress will remind them of everything they avoided. Some will mock you. Some will tempt you back into old habits. Some will call your boundaries arrogance because they preferred you available, confused, and easy to influence. Their reactions reveal the role they expected you to keep playing. Every complaint about your transformation is information. Every attempt to distract you is proof that your direction is becoming visible. You do not need revenge. You need distance, clarity, and consistency. The best response to resistance from others is to become so committed that their opinion cannot interrupt your schedule. Comment, "Pressure sharpens my command." Write it only if you are willing to prove it when the next difficult moment arrives. Anyone can admire discipline in theory. The test begins when your body is tired, your emotions are heavy, and nobody is watching. That is when your identity is decided. You must also learn the difference between productive resistance and pointless suffering. Do not glorify chaos. Do not remain in situations that destroy you without teaching you. A strategic man does not repeatedly place his hand in fire to prove toughness. He learns, adapts, and changes position. Resistance should sharpen your judgment, not erase it. Sometimes strength means enduring. Sometimes it means leaving. Sometimes it means confronting. Sometimes it means refusing to numbericipate. Power is not blind persistence. Power is accurate response. Your purpose must remain the judge. If the resistance strengthens your skill, character, patience, or control, face it. If it merely drains your energy and keeps you trapped in someone else's disorder, withdraw. The dangerous man is not the one who fights every battle. He is the one who knows which battles deserve his blood, his time, and his attention. As you train your mind, you will notice a change. Hard tasks will no longer intimidate you as quickly. Silence will no longer feel empty. Delays will no longer feel like defeat. You will begin seeing obstacles as instructions. Each one tells you what must be improved. Lack of focus tells you to remove distraction. Lack of strength tells you to train. Lack of knowledge tells you to study. Lack of confidence tells you to collect evidence through action. This is how an untouchable mind is built. Not by avoiding resistance, but by extracting value from it. Every setback becomes data. Every betrayal becomes education. Every failure becomes refinement. Eventually, you will stop searching for the easy route. You will search for the route that develops the man capable of carrying the future you desire. You will understand that resistance was never blocking your transformation. It was creating it. And once your mind begins to crave the pressure that improves you, life can no longer threaten you with difficulty. Difficulty becomes familiar. Familiarity becomes control. Control becomes power. And power, disciplined by purpose, makes you almost impossible to manipulate. Number 6. Starve the need for approval. Approval is one of the most invisible addictions a man can carry. It does not always look like weakness. Sometimes it looks like politeness, loyalty, patience, or humility. But beneath the surface, many men are not being kind. They are afraid. Afraid to disappoint. Afraid to be misunderstood. Afraid to stand alone after choosing what is necessary. They surrender their direction to preserve acceptance, then wonder why they feel empty. The moment your life depends on being liked, your decisions stop belonging to you. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who needs constant affection becomes vulnerable to those who know how to withdraw it. The same law governs your private life. When praise controls your energy, criticism controls your confidence. When attention determines your worth, silence becomes punishment. When approval becomes your reward, people can train your behavior without permission. They smile when you obey. They distance themselves when you resist. Slowly, you begin shaping your identity around their comfort. That is not connection. That is conditioning. You must learn to truly survive being misjudged. Not everyone will understand the discipline you are building. Not everyone will respect the solitude you require. Not everyone will celebrate your progress because your progress changes the balance between you. The more independent you become, the less influence others have. Some people do not fear losing you. They fear losing control over the version of you that needed them. Your mission is not to appear good in every story. Your mission is to remain loyal to the standards protecting your future. There will be moments when doing what is right for you makes you look cold to those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. There will be moments when silence makes you look arrogant to people who expected explanations. There will be moments when leaving makes you look disloyal to people who betrayed your peace. Accept the misunderstanding. A powerful man does not chase every false impression. He knows that defending himself endlessly gives strangers authority over his time. He allows patterns, results, and distance to reveal what words cannot. Explanation has value when understanding is possible. But when someone is committed to misreading you, your words become fuel for their judgment. Stop arguing with people who have already decided which version of you serves their story. This does not mean becoming cruel or incapable of listening. Pride can imitate independence. A foolish man rejects all advice because he wants to feel powerful. A strategic man evaluates the source. The voice of a disciplined mentor is not the same as the complaint of a manipulator. Choose carefully whose disappointment matters. If a man you respect warns you that your behavior is becoming destructive, examine yourself. If a person who benefits from your weakness accuses you of changing, continue changing. The difference is intention. One voice wants to correct your path. The other wants to return you to your cage. Learn to distinguish concern from control, honesty from guilt, and loyalty from possession. Comment: I do not beg to be understood. Write it with calmness, not bitterness. Bitterness still proves that others control your emotions. Real detachment does not need dramatic announcements. It simply stops performing. You stop over-explaining your decisions. You stop apologizing for having priorities. You stop shrinking your ambition so insecure people can feel comfortable. You stop volunteering your plans to those who only watch for failure. The need for approval becomes weaker each time you keep a promise to yourself. Self-respect is built when your private behavior matches your spoken standards. When you know you are working, learning, improving, and correcting your failures, outside judgment loses force. You no longer need strangers to confirm what your discipline proves daily. Your confidence becomes quieter because it is supported by evidence. Build that evidence. Wake when you said you would. Finish what you began. Leave what repeatedly degrades you. Refuse what violates your principles. Admit when you are wrong without collapsing into shame. Correct the mistake, learn the lesson, and move forward. These actions create an internal authority stronger than public opinion. You become capable of hearing criticism without being destroyed and receiving praise without becoming intoxicated. Praise can be as dangerous as insult. Insults tempt you to react. Praise tempts you to relax. When people begin admiring your progress, remember that admiration is not completion. Do not let applause convince you that the mission is finished. Crowds celebrate the visible result while remaining ignorant of the discipline required to maintain it. Accept appreciation without becoming dependent on it. Keep your standards higher than their compliments. You will lose people during this transformation. Some relationships existed only because you were easy to influence. Some friendships were built around shared weakness. Some connections survived because you kept betraying yourself to avoid conflict. When you become disciplined, selective, and purpose-driven, those bonds may collapse. Do not call every loss a tragedy. Sometimes removal is protection wearing the face of rejection. Still, do not use growth as an excuse to discard everyone. True strength is not isolation for the sake of superiority. Protect the loyal. Respect those who respect your direction. Be present for people who support your standards without demanding that you abandon yourself. The goal is not to need nobody. The goal is to need no one so desperately that you become controllable. When approval no longer feeds your identity, solitude becomes peaceful. Criticism becomes information instead of injury. Rejection becomes redirection instead of humiliation. You stop performing strength and begin embodying it. You no longer ask, will they approve? You ask, does this align with the man I am becoming? The day you stop begging to be accepted is the day manipulation loses one of its sharpest weapons. You become harder to flatter, harder to shame, and harder to abandon into obedience. You stand alone when necessary, listen when wisdom speaks, and move without waiting for applause. That is not arrogance, that is self-command. Number 7. Guard your attention like a kingdom. Your attention is the gate through which every influence enters your mind. Whoever controls that gate controls what you think about, what you desire, what you fear, and eventually what you become. Most men believe they are free because nobody is physically holding them down, yet their minds are dragged from notification to notification, opinion to opinion, crisis to crisis. They wake up with a plan, then surrender their strongest hours to meaningless information. By night, they feel exhausted without having built anything. Their bodies were active, but their purpose remained untouched. This is not an accident. The modern world competes for your attention because attention is more valuable than money. Money can be earned again. Attention, once spent, becomes time, and time never returns. Every platform, advertisement, argument, and manufactured outrage wants a piece of your mental territory. They do not need to defeat you directly. They only need to keep you distracted long enough for your ambition to starve. A distracted man destroys himself quietly. He delays his work, weakens his standards, and mistakes constant stimulation for a meaningful life. Machiavelli understood that the easiest kingdom to conquer is one whose gates are left unguarded. Your mind is that kingdom. Every voice should not be allowed inside. Every trend does not deserve your reaction. Every problem is not yours to solve. Every opinion is not worthy of emotional energy. You must become ruthless about what receives access to your thoughts. The world will call this coldness because the world profits from your availability. But a man who is available to everything becomes powerful at nothing. Begin by observing what repeatedly steals you. Perhaps it is your phone. Perhaps it is the need to check who viewed, replied, praised, or ignored you. Perhaps it is endless entertainment disguised as recovery. Perhaps it is the habit of monitoring people who no longer belong in your future. Whatever it is, stop calling it harmless. Anything that repeatedly separates you from your mission is not harmless. It is a rival, and rivals must be handled before they become rulers. You do not need more time, you need fewer leaks. One focused hour can change more than an entire day of divided effort. But focus demands discomfort because the mind addicted to stimulation will resist silence. The moment you sit with one difficult task, your brain will search for escape. It will remind you of messages, cravings, unfinished conversations, imagined problems, and irrelevant questions. Do not obey, remain seated. Let the urge rise, peak, and disappear. Every time you refuse distraction, you weaken its authority. Train focus like a weapon. Choose one objective. Remove everything unrelated. Work until the mind stops begging for novelty and begins entering depth. At first, you may only hold concentration for a few minutes. That is not failure. That is evidence of how badly your attention has been fragmented. Rebuild it deliberately. 10 clean minutes become 20. 20 become 40. 40 become an hour in which the outside world no longer exists. This is where serious work begins. This is where ordinary men disappear from competition. Your enemies do not always come carrying hostility. Some arrive as entertainment. Some arrive as friendship. Some arrive as opportunities that flatter your ego but weaken your direction. Some arrive as people who constantly create emergencies because they know you cannot resist being needed. Learn to recognize distraction even when it smiles at you. Not every invitation is an opportunity. Not every request is an obligation. Not every conversation deserves an answer. Protecting your attention will require disappointing people who are comfortable spending it. Comment, "My attention serves my purpose." Write it as a warning to every distraction that once controlled you. Your attention is not public property. It is not a reward for anyone who demands it loudly. It belongs to the mission, the body you are building, the skill you are mastering, the future you are designing, and the people who have earned your presence. Give it with intention. Withdraw it without guilt when it is abused. You must also control what you repeatedly think about when nobody is present. External distractions are obvious. Internal distractions are more dangerous. Regret can consume hours. Fantasies of revenge can become another form of captivity. Imagined arguments can exhaust you before the day begins. You replay disrespect, betrayal, and failure because the mind believes repetition will create control. It will not. You are feeding events that no longer have physical power over you. Starve them. When an old memory enters, do not wrestle with it. Observe it, take the lesson, and return to the present command. Ask, what action is available now? This question breaks the spell of useless thinking. You cannot change the betrayal, but you can strengthen your boundaries. You cannot recover wasted years, but you can stop wasting this hour. You cannot force someone to recognize your value, but you can become too focused to need their recognition. Action converts emotional poison into strategic movement without seeking permission. Your attention determines your emotional condition. Focus repeatedly on what you lack, and you will feel powerless. Focus on what must be built, and your energy becomes directed. Focus on enemies, and they occupy your mind without paying rent. Focus on standards, and enemies become irrelevant. This does not mean ignoring danger. It means refusing to give danger more space than strategy requires. Study the threat, prepare the response, then return to the objective. The disciplined mind is not empty. It is selective. It knows what to ignore, what to study, what to remember, and what to release. This selectivity creates calm because confusion disappears when priorities become clear. You stop chasing 10 goals and begin completing one. You stop reacting to every emotion and begin choosing the one action that serves you. You stop demanding certainty and begin moving with the information available. Eventually, focus becomes a form of intimidation. People notice that you cannot be easily provoked. They realize gossip does not move you, praise does not seduce you, and distraction does not purchase your time. Your silence becomes heavier because it is filled with direction. Your work becomes sharper because it is protected from unnecessary noise. Your progress accelerates because your energy is no longer scattered across things that never deserved it. This is how you become difficult to manipulate. Manipulation requires access to your attention. Fear needs you to stare at the threat. Shame needs you to replay judgment. Temptation needs you to imagine pleasure. Envy needs you to compare. But when your attention is commanded by purpose, these forces cannot remain long enough to control behavior. You notice them, refuse them, and return to the mission. Guard your attention more fiercely than your reputation. Reputation lives in other people's minds. Attention lives in yours. One is unstable. The other determines your future. Let them misunderstand your absence. Let them question your silence. Let them wonder why you stopped reacting. While they talk, build. While they scroll, study. While they chase stimulation, deepen your command. A man who masters his attention masters the direction of his life, and a man who chooses his direction cannot be easily led. Number 8. Become loyal to the man you are building. There comes a point in your transformation when discipline is no longer about forcing yourself to act. It becomes loyalty to the man you said you would become, to the future shaped when nobody is watching, and to the standards created before weakness began negotiating. Most men betray themselves so often that self-betrayal feels normal. They make promises in clarity, then abandon them in discomfort. They want power, but remain loyal to habits that keep them small. They want peace, but return to people who disturb it. They want progress, but protect every excuse that delays it. This is why their confidence remains fragile. Confidence cannot grow where self-trust is repeatedly broken. When you promise to wake early and remain in bed, you teach your mind that your word has no authority. When you say you will leave a destructive situation and return, you prove emotion outranks principle. When you choose temporary relief over purpose, you crack your identity. Eventually, you stop believing your declarations. You speak about change, but a quieter voice remembers every surrender. You must repair that relationship through action, not through affirmations, not through dramatic announcements, not through another perfect plan. Action is the only apology your future will accept. Begin making smaller promises and keeping them without negotiation. Choose a time to rise and rise. Choose an hour to work and protect it. Choose one destructive habit to remove and remove it completely. Your mind does not need more speeches. It needs evidence that your command can be trusted. Machiavelli understood that authority collapses when commands are ignored. A ruler who threatens consequences but never acts teaches the kingdom that his words are empty. You have done the same within yourself. You issued orders without enforcement and declared standards without defending them. Your impulses learned that if they resisted long enough, you would surrender. Reverse that hierarchy. Your emotions may speak, but they do not vote. Your cravings may appear, but they do not command. Fear may warn you, but it does not choose the direction. This is how power becomes permanent. Do not mistake self-command for self-hatred. You are not building discipline because you despise who you are. You are building it because you refuse to keep abandoning who you could become. There is a difference between punishing yourself and training yourself. Punishment looks backward and says you are worthless. Training looks forward and says you are capable of more. One destroys identity, the other strengthens it. Be ruthless with the habit, but patient with the process. Remove excuses without removing self-respect. You will fail at times. You will lose focus. You may return to an old pattern and feel disgusted. That moment is dangerous because shame will try to turn one mistake into an identity. It will whisper that nothing changed and your effort meant nothing. Reject that conclusion. A setback is an event, not a verdict. Correct quickly. Do not spend 3 days mourning one bad hour. Do not turn a missed routine into a ruined week. The strategic man recovers before failure becomes comfortable. Your speed of recovery matters more than perfection. Perfection makes men fragile because one mistake destroys the image they maintain. Discipline makes men adaptable because they expect resistance and know how to return. When you fall, study why. Was the environment poorly designed? Were you exhausted? Was temptation too close? Did you rely on motivation instead of structure? Take the lesson without protecting your ego. Then adjust the system so the same weakness faces stronger resistance next time. Comment, I remain loyal to my future. Write it as a contract with the version of you that has not arrived. That man depends on decisions he cannot make. He needs you to endure the morning, protect the hour, reject the invitation, finish the work, and walk away from repeating damage. Every choice becomes number of the world he inherits. Give him strength, not debt. Give him proof, not explanations. Give him a body trained by effort, a mind sharpened by solitude, and a reputation built by consistency. You must also become disloyal to your former identity. Stop romanticizing the version of you that survived by avoiding responsibility. Stop defending habits simply because they feel familiar. Familiarity is not truth, it is repetition. The old you may have been understandable, but he is no longer acceptable. Perhaps he was hurt. Perhaps he was neglected. Perhaps he learned to hide, delay, please, or escape because those behaviors once protected him. Respect why they developed, but do not let yesterday's survival strategy become tomorrow's prison. Growth requires a controlled betrayal of your old self. You must disappoint the person you used to be in order to honor the person you are becoming. The old identity will ask for familiar pleasures, familiar people, familiar excuses, and familiar chaos. It will call transformation unnatural because weakness always mistakes familiarity for safety. Continue anyway. A new identity feels false before it feels natural. Repetition is what makes it real. There will be people who recognize your old identity and try to summon it. They will remind you of your failures, provoke your former reactions, and speak to you as if nothing has changed. Do not argue. Do not explain the transformation. Demonstrate it. When they expect anger, remain controlled. When they expect availability, protect your time. When they expect you to chase, let distance remain. When they expect surrender, hold the boundary. Your new identity becomes believable when old triggers no longer produce old behavior. This is where many men fail. They change in private but return to old environments and perform the same weakness to remain accepted. They reduce themselves to protect relationships built around their smaller identity. They laugh at what now disgusts them. They numbericipate in habits they claim to have left. They silence ambitions so the room stays comfortable. Understand the cost. Every time you perform your old identity for approval, you reinforce it inside yourself. Your loyalty must also survive success. Failure is not the only force that breaks discipline. Success can do it quietly. When results appear, the mind demands reward. You tell yourself that you deserve to relax, reveal plans, lower standards, and return to old pleasures. Be careful. Many men survive hardship only to be destroyed by comfort after victory. They become disciplined enough to reach the gate, then careless enough to lose the kingdom. Build rituals that protect identity regardless of circumstance. Keep mornings disciplined, whether inspired or empty. Keep your body trained, whether admired or ignored. Keep studying whether opportunity appears quickly or remains delayed. Keep your standards when money arrives, attention increases, and people treat you differently. Character is revealed by what you refuse to abandon after struggle is no longer required for survival. The world will test your loyalty through trade-offs. It will offer quick pleasure in exchange for long-term strength. It will offer acceptance in exchange for boundaries. It will offer visibility in exchange for secrecy. It will offer comfort in exchange for momentum. Every offer has a hidden price. Read it carefully. The weak see only what they receive. The strategic see what they become by accepting. Ask yourself before every major decision, which identity does this feed? Does it feed the disciplined man or the impulsive one? The purposeful man or the distracted one? The independent man or the approval seeker? The answer may hurt, but it will rarely be unclear. You usually know what weakens you. The problem is not ignorance. The problem is attachment. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. Readiness is often fear asking for more time. Move while uncertain, act while uncomfortable. Keep the promise while every emotion argues against it. Each victory strengthens the chain of self-trust. Eventually, your mind stops questioning whether you will follow through. It knows. That certainty creates a calm. No praise can give and no criticism can remove. When you become loyal to your future, decisions become simpler. You stop negotiating with every urge. You stop reopening doors that already proved destructive. You stop chasing people who make you abandon your dignity. You stop needing the crowd to approve what your purpose requires. Your life gains force because your actions finally move in one direction. This is the moment discipline becomes identity. Solitude becomes sanctuary. Progress becomes expectation. Purpose becomes law. You no longer perform strength for the world. You carry it privately. You know what you have survived, what you have refused, and what you have built in silence. Your word begins to mean something again. And when a man trusts his own command, he becomes extraordinarily difficult to control. Temptation cannot purchase him cheaply. Rejection cannot frighten him into obedience. Loneliness cannot force him back into weak company. Failure cannot convince him to abandon the mission. Success cannot seduce him into carelessness. He belongs to the future he chose, and every disciplined action proves his loyalty. Number 9. Become governed from within. There is a final stage in this transformation, and it begins when discipline, solitude, progress, and purpose stop feeling like separate practices. They become one system. Discipline controls your actions. Solitude protects your mind. Progress proves your direction. Purpose gives the struggle meaning. When these forces work together, you stop living like a man trying to improve and start living like a man who cannot return to weakness. The old life may still call your name, but it no longer sounds like home. This is where men become careless. They believe the work is finished because they gained momentum. They mistake momentum for permanent character. They assume disciplined months erased years of weakness. The mind remembers every escape route. Comfort waits. Distraction returns when your guard drops. Self-mastery is a throne you defend daily. Machiavelli understood that power rarely disappears dramatically. It is surrendered through negligence. A ruler ignores one warning, trusts one flattering voice, or delays one necessary decision, and the kingdom begins to rot from within. Your inner kingdom collapses similarly. One excuse becomes two. One wasted evening becomes a habit. One broken boundary invites another violation. Decline begins quietly before it becomes visible. Never underestimate the first compromise. That is where weakness asks permission to return. It rarely announces itself as destruction. It appears reasonable. It says you have worked hard enough. It says one missed day does not matter. It says you can restart tomorrow. Sometimes those words are true, but weakness uses truth selectively. It does not want one evening. It wants authority. It wants your mind to remember that your standards can be negotiated. Your task is not to live without rest, pleasure, or connection. Your task is to control them instead of being controlled by them. Rest must restore the mission, not replace it. Pleasure must be enjoyed without becoming your master. Relationships must strengthen your direction, not erase it. Solitude must sharpen you, not make you bitter. Discipline must build you, not make you cruel. Purpose must guide you without blinding you to wisdom. Power without balance eventually turns against its owner. The disciplined man knows when to push and when to recover, but he never confuses recovery with surrender. He can step away from work without abandoning the standard. He can enjoy a quiet day without returning to laziness. He can love people without becoming dependent on their approval. He can feel emotion without allowing emotion to become government. This balance makes his strength sustainable. He is not performing intensity for 1 week. He is building command for a lifetime. Create rules for the moments when clarity disappears. Decide now what you will do when motivation dies. Decide how you will respond when loneliness becomes heavy. Decide which habits are forbidden, which boundaries are permanent, and which people no longer receive access. Decisions made in strength protect you during weakness. Without rules, every difficult moment becomes a courtroom where temptation acts as judge, lawyer, and witness. You will lose a trial designed by your cravings. Write your standards where you can see them. Keep them simple enough to obey and strong enough to shape identity. Wake at the chosen time. Train the body. Protect the first hour. Complete the main task before entertainment. Speak less when angry. Never chase what repeatedly withdraws respect. Never reveal every plan. Never return to places that required you to betray yourself. These are not motivational phrases. They are walls around the kingdom you are building. Comment: my mind serves my highest purpose. Write it now as a promise backed by private action. Let those words follow you when the screen goes dark. Let them confront you tomorrow when the alarm rings. Let them return when distraction offers comfort, when loneliness tempts you toward weak company, and when failure tries to declare the mission over. Your mind must serve what is highest, not what is loudest. The loudest desire is rarely the wisest one. Hunger screams, ego screams, anger screams, fear screams. Purpose often speaks quietly. It reminds you of the promise. It points toward the difficult action. It asks you to remain silent when reaction would feel satisfying. It asks you to continue when nobody would blame you for quitting. To hear purpose, you must reduce the noise within. This is why solitude remains essential after you become stronger. Return to solitude regularly, not because you hate people, but because distance restores perspective. In the crowd, emotions spread quickly. Other people's urgency becomes your urgency. Their fears enter your thinking. Their desires influence your standards. Solitude allows you to separate what is yours from what was placed inside you. It is where you question your direction, correct your errors, and sharpen the strategy before returning to the world. Use solitude to examine yourself without mercy and without hatred. Ask where you have become softer. Ask which distraction has regained influence. Ask which excuse has started sounding intelligent. Ask whether your routine still serves the mission or merely preserves familiarity. A dangerous man audits his own power. He does not wait for collapse to reveal weakness. He searches for cracks while the walls are still standing. Do not become arrogant when growth appears. Arrogance is weakness celebrating too early. It makes you careless, loud, and easy to study. Let progress increase your precision, not your need to display superiority. The strongest man in the room rarely announces what he can do. His habits reveal preparation. His eyes reveal control. His silence reveals that he is not begging to be recognized. Become powerful enough to remain composed. You are not training your mind merely to become productive. You are training it to become free. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel. That is slavery to impulse. Freedom is choosing what is necessary when another desire screams louder. Freedom is walking away from what you once believed you could not live without. Freedom is sitting alone without feeling abandoned. Freedom is refusing to exchange your future for immediate relief. When you reach this level, people will sense that something has changed. You will not need to explain it. Your presence will feel different because your attention is no longer scattered. Your speech will become deliberate because you are not desperate to fill silence. Your boundaries will become firm because loneliness no longer terrifies you. Your work will carry force because it is connected to purpose. You will become calmer but far less controllable. Some will admire the change, others will resent it. Do not become distracted by either reaction. Admiration can tempt you to perform. Resentment can tempt you to retaliate. Both pull your eyes away from the mission. Accept praise without feeding on it. Notice hostility without becoming possessed by it. The objective is not to become loved or feared by everyone. The objective is to become governed from within. No one is coming to command your life for you. People may advise you, encourage you, or inspire you, but they cannot carry discipline into your private hours. They cannot reject temptation on your behalf. They cannot sit through your loneliness, complete your work, or protect your purpose. The responsibility is yours. That burden may feel severe, but it is also the source of your freedom. You have spent enough time waiting to feel different before acting differently. Act first. Identity follows repetition. Wake with intention. Enter silence without fear. Work without applause. Improve without announcement. Protect the mission without apology. Let every day become another piece of evidence that the weak version of you is losing territory. Do not ask whether the world is ready for the man you are becoming. The world is never ready for a man it cannot distract, shame, flatter, or control. Become him anyway. Crave the discipline that separates you. Crave the solitude that reveals you. Crave the progress that transforms you. Crave the purpose that commands you. And when comfort calls your old name, do not answer. Comment one final time, "I am governed from within." Then prove it after this video ends. Like this video, subscribe to Psygrythm, and turn on notifications if you are ready to keep training your mind beyond comfort, beyond fear, and beyond the limits that once defined you. This is not the end of the message. It is the beginning of your command.